So mean, median, and mode, we're going to have to find with different data. There's kind of three different ways that it's going to happen, and we have to be able to do all three of them. The good news is they're all going to be done with a calculator. If you want to remember the one thing probably you want to remember is that mean is an average. All right, because when you're doing the project, if you are going to do a mean, median, mode kind of project, you're going to have to be able to do that in terms of, you have to do some things by hand. So we'll talk about what to do in the examples down below in terms of how to put it into the calculator, what calculation you have to do. There's going to be three different kinds of data you're going to have to do mean, median, mode with. So we're going to have to be able to do all of them. The last thing that we have to think about is outliers. Now, when we do box and whisker plots and when we do normal distributions later in the year, we will talk about how to actually tell if something is definitely an outlier. But for right now, we just want to be able to look at data, and outliers are data values that are very different from the rest of the values. They tend to skew the mean. They don't do as much with the mean and the median. So if you have an outlier, a lot of times you might be more appropriate to use the median to describe the data instead of the outlier. If a question asks you about one of the outliers in the data, you kind of look at it, see if one is extremely different. You say this is a lot different than the rest of the data, call it an outlier, and then you may refine the mean to see what the difference is if you don't include the outlier. Outliers mess up data. Typically, we will include them with the data, but we'll make a note that there is this outlier and possibly we didn't use it in calculation of the mean or different things like that. So it's just one of the things with data that it can really skew the data. It's usually very obvious when you do it with if you had a scatter plot or something like that, the outlier would be way off to the side and it would not intermix with the rest of the data.